Hi, welcome to Laura's View and Tarot 2. I am so glad you're here. Today's date is Thursday, October 6th, 2022. And today I'm going to tackle a subject that, to me, as someone from Western culture, finds a little bit daunting, and that is looking at Iran. I think it's important that we do, even if they're not a close neighbor to us geographically. There are protests in Iran that have been going on. The mainstream media is not covering them, the incidents, very well. And that makes it even more vital that we awake people know what's going on and know how to pray in intention and hope for them as far as outcomes go. So let's take a little bit of look at a few things that I did before doing this reading, and I'll share with you where I'm finding things. One of them is going to be a Facebook post that's private as I record this on my personal Laura Greenwood in Wasilla. There's only one. You should be able to find me page that you may want to reference. Because like I said, I did find that the mainstream media is having, now that sports are involved, there's getting a little media attention there. But when it was simply women protesting and being killed over their stances, it wasn't getting a whole lot of airtime. Okay, 1 second. So I did a DuckDuckGo. Don't yell at me for using DuckDuckGo. I know they're not as good as they used to be, search. And I was disappointed to see that as of September 26th, that was kind of like the last of the articles that were showing up, other than a few that were in media format. And I wanted to stop here on this just to say to you, here's a title that I find incredibly insulting. There's only one that's more insulting. When I see a news article that tells me what you need to know, I think that, one, how stupid do they think I am? Number two, who let you decide what I need to know? And number three, I'm darned if I'm going to be stupid enough to read something that has that. If they tell me 10 relevant facts about Iran's raging process, I'm in. The one that's more insulting is when it says all you need to know. No, hell no. No one's going to decide what I need to know but me. Okay, so I went down a little bit on the page here, and I saw that Fox News had an article. Now, again, this is from the 21st of September, 2 weeks ago. But at that time, protests were in 100 cities in Iran, 30 provinces, dozens killed, and widespread arrests were happening. Now, it was sparked, the protests were sparked or flared because they were already happening as women were asking for rights and protesting some of the restrictions that Iran has on them culturally. One of the protesters, Masa Amini, died while in police custody. And that police custody, by the way, was the morality police. Can you believe that? Morality police. Sounds almost like 46's Truth Administration or whatever that was he tried to get off the ground. Anyway, but they have got morality police who have authority up to ending life for, I'm trying to think of a word that I can say here, ending life as a consequence for contrary views and behaviors. Kind of scary to think about. So in my search for current news, I went to a blog site called powerlineblog.com. And there was on the 5th, just yesterday, there was a blog here by Stephen Hayward. And I wanted to share, now we're going to get into my Facebook post, a couple of, I thought, very, very relevant quotes on that blog. One is, the Saudis are mad at number 46. The uprising in Iran is more serious than we've been led to believe, apparently. The mullahs there have not been able to stop the protests. Some 40 plus dead in the news yesterday. That would be the 4th of October. It appears the Iranian people have reached the end of their rope and now plan to use that rope for other purposes. 46 and or his puppet masters are trying hard to prop up the mullahs, and the Saudis consider that crazy. And another comment that I thought was fairly relevant is, why didn't the Iranians revolt against that tyrannical regime when 45 was in office? They would have received the enthusiastic support of the United States. With the Democrats having seized power, the Iranian revolutionaries are on their own, as is everyone else who values liberty. And then if you decide to check out this post, I have a comment here that I found a good kind of synopsis of the events. It also tracks back to a 17 post that may have some information for you. I'm not going to go into it here, but again, my personal Facebook page is Laura Greenwood, located in Wasilla, Alaska, and you are welcome. I'll make it a public post and anybody is welcome to see it. So, with so many people dying at the hands of those trying to squelch the protests, and the momentum is not lessening. It's impacted, as so many international situations are, by interference by other governments, usually, notably, and most especially my own. But there does seem to be a swelling, a ground swelling of enough is enough. And I'd like to ask the cards what the outlook looks like for the people of Iran and their protests, their strife for fewer restrictions on their lives and how they conduct them. And so I'd like to see what the card outlook is for that. Now, so I'm going to phrase it carefully. In this current timeline, what is the likely outcome currently for the protests happening in Iran and the protesters and people that support those protests? Let's see what the cards have to say. Okay, cards, please. Universe, please. Show us in this current timeline what the likely outcome is for the protesters and the people of Iran who support the protesters to have a less restrictive government, more rights and freedoms. We have the Eight of Cups, the Hierophant, King of Swords, Eight of Pentacles, 10 of Pentacles, Knight of Wands, Seven of Swords. Well, our question about the situation in Iran is indicated by the Eight of Cups, which is literally a turning point card. So they are at a turning point, and they're at a turning point away from the mullah or deep state influences, the corrupt influences that have gloried in people's fear and obedience and greatly restricted rights and freedoms. Now, in the recent past, I think the People's Uprising is being indicated by the King of Swords. Definitely a white hat card, but in this case, this is the protesters of Iran. And I hope it also means that white hat influence is at least trying to stop the deep state meddling as the people of Iran make their wishes known and work to make some changes in their government. Now, this is a card for the present. We have the Eight of Pentacles, which is a card of skilled hard labor. So there's a lot of work to be done on Iran to come to a place where people still can pursue their religion to their personal needs and wishes, but allowing some freedom for people to express themselves culturally, personally, and in religious fashions with a little more freedom. But the hard work can be done. Looking ahead for them, it looks really good. We got the 10 of Pentacles here for their near future. So we've got, this is a rejoicing card where it's multiple generations. All generations are depicted in this card. 10 is about usually physical things. So, and it's just a card of wealth and abundance. And that abundance can be spiritual and cultural as well as assets. The Knight of Wands shows up as our strongest clarifying card here. Now he is my cautious optimism card. So it's good that he's here because the deep state is not going to, and I say deep state, and it may be the corrupt mullahs, the ones that don't want to let go of power and see a lessening of restrictions as a loss of power rather than a sharing of the joy of life. So they're going to try to get away with what they can. They're going to try to make a modified, get the protesters to modify their expectations, to settle for less, as we often are in this country when we're given a candidate who seems to be a little bit improved, but he's still compromised and corrupt and not what we need. We have the Magician card showing up here. That's the Magician is one of manifestation. So it is possible for all this to manifest in full without the trickiness element here if the people stay the course and continue. And I'm sorry that they're having to pay such a horrible price in actual bloodshed and loss of life for asking for this change. We have the Sun card showing up here. Very, very positive, loving energy. And excellent that it's showing up in this place here for Iran. It bodes well for their manifesting for the outcome. Okay, we have the Five of Swords. Fives are kind of temporary situations, but this is definitely a strife card. So again, kind of highlighting the fact that there's still work to be done, but we have reason to be optimistic for the people of Iran, for their increased freedoms. And we have the Queen of Swords as our final card here. Or pardon me, Queen of Wands. And she is a very, very strong and wise energy. She's one of optimism and accomplishment. So they can do this. You can do this. I know that Iran has restrictions on internet access. And so the chance of someone actually on the ground there seeing this and getting some hope for it are kind of slim. But for those who aren't there and who love people that are caught up in this and care for them, the outcome is looking like it's pretty positive. They need to stay the course, not back down, and not compromise and settle for less. They've already paid a price. And so the Song of Freedom, I don't know, when it starts singing in someone's heart, it's pretty strong and hard to squelch. And I think the Iranian people are there. So what can we do to help the people of Iran? Well, we can contact our representatives and ask them please to encourage our government to stay out of it. We can pray for those people that are caught up in this, that the loss of life will be lessened and end, and that the freedoms and objectives of the protesters will be heeded and manifested in full. So let's help them with our intentions. Let's help them by keeping as much as possible, even with the mainstream very limited information access. Let's keep our eyes on the situation and pray for the best possible outcome for those protesters, the people that love them, the people that support them, and for them to find a way to get that outcome that they have paid so dearly to have. That's it for this video. Thank you so much for your time. It's precious, and I appreciate that you chose to spend a little of it with me. Once again, I'd like to say thank you very much for those people who have chosen, and please don't do it if you can't afford to, because it's appreciated, but it's not essential. If you have chosen to go to buy me a coffee and do so, I do thank you for that. And I I'm trying to thank everybody that does that. I think I thanked a couple people twice and hopefully didn't miss anybody, but you're hearing it now. Your support is appreciated. I do appreciate that. There are a few little costs associated with this channel, even on a home production level. And so I appreciate you offsetting that somewhat. I do very much appreciate that. And I appreciate the emotional support I get and the prayers and good intentions from people so much. You keep me blessed, you keep me safe, and I thank you very, very much for all you do to help this little homespun effort continue. So thank you very much. Until the next video, I send you love, I send you light, and it comes from above, not just from me. So be blessed and cautiously optimistic. We're getting there. We're getting there, folks. We really are. We've got this. Good night.